I am thrilled to introduce you to Samantha Paxson. Sam is a leading strategist in growth and business transformation. She's known for her expertise in uniting technology, operations, and customer experience to enhance revenue, retention, and market reach. With 20 years of C-suite experience, she served as EVP and CXO at Co-op Solutions, where she helped lead the company's transformation into a platform-based ecosystem, serving 3,500 financial institutions and 60 million consumers. Sam is an inspiring human being. She is starting an organization right now that you are going to hear about, Power and Light Collaborative, and she has been an inspiration to me over the years. Samantha Paxson, we are so excited to hear from you. Let's welcome her.
What an exciting introduction. Tansley always inspires me. She is the most courageous leader. She always is bold. She lives everything she says. And I could not be more honored to be on this stage speaking about such an important topic. I want to lead with something that has really impacted my career over the last 30 years. And that career, as a Gen Xer coming up, I did a lot of work with a lot of men. I was often the only woman on a team with many men. And when I started my career, I kept hearing the phrase, man up, Sam, just man up. Stuff your passion, stuff your emotion, harden yourself, let it roll off your back like a duck. Calm down your passion, calm down that energy and that boldness. And so I would watch my male colleagues as I came up in my career. I was the youngest account director in my first role, running an international business at 25. I was the youngest vice president at Co-op Solutions ever hired, and I was the only person promoted into the executive team. That all sounds really fun and easy, but I was surrounded by a culture that supported not living with human-centric qualities. And when I took on the qualities and watched the leadership style of my colleagues, this kind of man-up way, I found that it didn't really work. What I found is that we were an organization that went through 15 mergers and acquisitions. We had to integrate multiple types of humans into our organization. We had to connect an organization together. And when we did this top-down command and control hierarchical style of leadership, what I found is that it broke trust, it created a competitive environment, it created an I win, you lose type of attitude, and I thought, this is not the way to be a digital-first organization. When we're digital-first, that means multiple functional areas have to work in concert. They have to be completely connective and inclusive and organized in a way where people feel safe, people feel heard, and people trust each other to lean in. So what I'm going to argue today is that we need to be more human in our leadership, and we need to human up, not man up, and that human-centric leadership is innately feminine. So why is this so important? In business, we've never gone through more change than we have in the present. And this just goes faster and faster and faster and faster. We're ingesting technologies and changing our organizations in order to meet the market moment. And in our industry, in the credit union industry, there's very, very high expectations. And we serve a very diverse community. So we need to have empathy and deeply understand our buyer, our member, our customer. And if our teams aren't thinking about it that way, we will be slow. Now, what we're finding in tech firms, people starting out in hardware and software, most teams are made of men. Only 35% of entry-level work in the hardware tech is made up of women in entry-level roles, about 43% in software, but just as Tansley said, that when you start moving up the ladder, it gets lesser and lesser and lesser. Only 17% are women in tech firms, leading them at an SVP level. This is why this is important. We need to go faster. We need to better understand our customer. We need to better design ourselves to be nimble and agile. And we need to do this using a different style of leadership. But let me also tell you why this is so important to me. This is a picture of my son, Finn, when he was 5. And I got asked to speak at Walt Disney World. And I thought, awesome, this is an opportunity for me to bring my kid and go on some rides. And so I brought my best friend with me who had her 5-year-old son, and they got to be buddies and do all these things together. And by the way, Mom had to do a speech on digital transformation. So he had never seen me do something like this. And my best friend took this photo of him watching me on the stage. He waved. I almost said, "Hi, Finn, I'm here." And it happened to be at the same time I had just got promoted to be an executive at my company, the only one promoted into a team. The team that I was part of was, I was one of 2 women in a team of 9, and the rest of the organization all came from publicly traded multi-billion-dollar organizations. And what I'll tell you, when I was giving this speech, I had massive imposter syndrome, massive. I thought, can I keep up with this group? Do I fit in? Do I belong? There isn't anybody else on the team that's like me that came up through the company. I don't know if I can do this. I get off the stage, my son runs to me and says, "Mommy, I love you so much, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." He's now 13 and says different things to me. But what he did say to me recently, he says, "You're my role model. I want to be like you when I grow up." And this is my son. This type of representation is what we all need to have in our organizations to know that it's possible. And we need to believe it's possible. I didn't quite believe it. I say this all the time, and my friends say, "We believed it." I didn't believe it. And that holds us back. That hesitancy holds us back. Most women, unless they have 100% of the qualifications to join a job, they won't do it. They won't apply. Yet men will apply if there's only they meet 60% of the qualifications. We have to believe in ourselves as much as Finn believed in me. Then I got to the role, Chief Experience Officer. I told you I was the youngest VP hired there, the only one promoted in. And through a strange little HR mishap, I found out that I was being paid as an SVP, not an executive vice president. And what I was told is, "Oh, you've got plenty of runway, Sam. You just have to what we want to do is have you keep progressing and gaining skills." So I was asked to go get a finance certificate. So I went to Stanford and I did that. Then I was asked to go get an MBA and I went to USC and I did that. And while I did that, I traveled every week for the company, seeing many of you at multiple conferences. I was ingesting multiple companies that we had just acquired. And I was leading 4 functions and stood up 17 in that time and helped grow the company by 5x over my tenure. But I was always told, "You're untested, you can't run a P&L." But I want you to remember that, because I have something to share later. So we're told in the media today that we need more masculine energy, that men outnumber women as much as 4-to-1 in the tech industry. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan's podcast a few weeks back, and he said that the world is culturally neutered and that we need to celebrate more aggression in tech firms. And I don't agree with that at all. I've seen it firsthand that that doesn't bring an organization together. It doesn't drive connectedness. It doesn't drive inclusion. It doesn't drive partnership. It doesn't drive collaboration. Manning up doesn't work at all. We need organizations to connectively win, collaboratively win. And these things that are feminine qualities are the way forward. They're things like empathy, communication, partnership, collaboration. I actually had a colleague of mine say, Sam, good fences make good neighbors. And I said, you know what else makes a good neighbor? Is when you open the gate to that fence and you have a barbecue. Because that's how we come together and find common ground and solve problems together. It becomes a we win scenario. And these are the things that we bring to the table as executives in our organizations. Google did a study on this. They did 2 studies to see what has worked super well in our organization. What are the highest performing leaders and the highest performing teams, and what are those qualities? So the first study they did was called Project Oxygen. Over their lifespan, their 25-year lifespan, what they found was that the most desirable manager behavior were not STEM skills or technical skills. It was being a nurturing and a good coach, communicating and listening well, possessing insight into others, having empathy, being supportive, being a good critical thinker and being able to juggle a lot of things, and being able to make really complex decisions across all of that information. Those qualities might sound familiar to some of us in the room. And then when you look at the team factor, the most productive and innovative teams had equality, generosity, curiosity, as Tansley said, empathy, emotional intelligence, and emotional safety. That one's important. Teams need to feel confident that they can come with an idea, that they can share a new insight, that they can speak critically of an idea and then debate it out. That's how you get really good stuff coming out of a company, and that's how you get really good stuff coming together across an organization. And this is backed in data, because as we introduce technology, guess what has to happen? It doesn't happen in a single functional area. What has to happen? You have to have the marketing team, the technical team, retail operations. You have to have finance in there. All of these areas have to work together. And if they don't like each other or don't connect or don't build trust, it's gonna slow down. So you need this type of leadership in order to drive our organizations into the future. Business happens in the space between functions. How do we make that space tighter and more connected? So what are the ingredients for human-based leadership? It's communicating and really understanding how you're being heard and how you're being perceived. It's building relationships, even if you might not like that person, even if it's a tough conversation. This is how we drive that kind of connectivity. It's not being stubborn, being open, being adaptable and creative. Then it's lifting others up. It's training and mentoring others to do this and having them train and mentor others as well. And it's balancing both the hard skills, the technical stuff, and the soft skills. And soft skills are power skills. These are power skills. These are the things that get us into leadership and get us to be known and trusted and have people be loyal to you. This is how you make change across an organization. And there's 2 prime examples in business of leaders who have done this. I have 2 really big heroes. Hubert Joly, who was a professor at Harvard, and he turned around Best Buy. And what he did, Best Buy at the time in 2012 when he was the CEO, Best Buy was trading at about $10 a share. It was an old school big box retailer of technology that was having their lunch eaten by Amazon. And what he did was completely shift his leadership, and he prioritized people first, then business, then finance. At the end of his tenure, before he passed the company on to a woman leader who's now CEO of Best Buy, They increased the Best Buy stock price by 500%. Tiffany Bova, who was the chief head of strategy and research under Mark Benioff at Salesforce, she posits that we need to focus on human centricity. And when you focus on employee experience, you can raise not only revenue by 50%, but profit by just as much. It's powerful. There's powerful examples in the industry about what this type of leadership means, not only to inclusion, but to business performance. And honestly, friends, I saw this across all of my female coworkers. They did this so well. Human centricity is innately female. And there's research that backs it. There is a Zenger-Folkman study where they looked at the competencies of great leadership, and women were rated more effective in 84% of the most frequently measured business leadership competencies. Things like taking initiative, resilience, practicing self-development, driving results, high integrity and honesty, inspiring and motivating others, being bold, and of course, building relationships. Women are good at this. Why are we not giving them a chance to lead at the highest levels? Why are we not there? And we have so many examples in the credit union industry. We've got Linda Arman, we have Tansley Stearns in the Michigan market, Patty Corkery, we have April Clovis. Goodness, look at Idaho Central, Brenda Worrell. There's amazing, amazing examples of women who are really making a difference in this industry and are being inventive and interesting and making a huge impact in their communities because of how they lead. But we have to believe that we can do it. Most women, when they're starting their careers, have a big confidence gap. I know I did, and I was probably a little ignorant. I just thought, I'm out of school, I can get a really great job and lead. And then I was kind of felt like I was sprinting and somebody was holding their hand against my head. There was always something more I had to do. And I finally came to this place. I just turned 50 this year. Woo! And what this says is that women don't hit the same confidence level as men until they're in their 50s. That's crazy. So we need to improve that. We need to lift women up. But I will tell you, I was underestimated for the majority of the 30 years of my career so far. And being underestimated is a superpower. When I was told I couldn't do something, I'd say, oh yeah? Watch me. And this happened throughout my time in my payments and technology company and throughout my time at the first part of my career. But remember when I was told that I couldn't run a P&L? Well, I started a little company called the Power and Light Collaborative, which is about human centricity. The purpose of the Power and Light Collaborative is to have vendors of financial institutions find their growth strategy and actually design themselves around the business case they're delivering for credit unions and community banks. Rather than selling a widget, let's actually pay off the growth of credit unions. And it's about collaboration. It mixes finance leadership, marketing leadership, sales leadership, product leadership, and CX to design that organization around the buyer. And within the first 2 months of it starting, last September, my first client is in the room here, See You Wealth Next, Josh Herman. Within the first 2 months, we hit 7 clients and 7 figures in top line. I proved to myself I can run a P&L. So how do we activate your humanity now? First step, inclusive leadership. That's a mix of incredible intelligence, IQ, you gotta have it, EQ, how am I relating to others, and what I like to call LQ, the love quotient. How do we lead with love and bring everyone in to help build loyalty and passion and excitement about our companies and our organizations? Entrepreneurial leadership. The person at the top doesn't have all the answers. It's the people in the middle, the people at the bottom, the people just coming up that are inspired and ready to go and want the chance to share their ideas. And often those are the best ideas. They're in it every day. They can see what's actually happening. So enable those voices in the middle of an organization to go start something brand new. Give people a chance, because there's incredible thought leadership and ideas that are just simmering under the surface that we're not giving people the chance to do. And the last one is viral leadership. On my team in my last organization, I said, go start a joy virus. Go connect this organization and spread positivity and cheer and optimism, and go make friends, because the more we do that, the more people want to work with us, the more they are excited about partnering, the more we collaborate, and the faster we go. So as I say, business happens in this space between functions. Go tighten those spaces. So I encourage the men and the women here to lead with your humanity. We're in the age of AI. We're in the digital age. Technology is taking over everything, but we need people to drive change in organizations, and that is our humanity. That's our killer app. So we need to make sure that we're being inclusive, that we're leaning into our empathy and our emotion and the things that make us really special, because that is actually going to drive the performance of our organizations, and it's going to drive people to want to work with us and want to be part of something like that. So I encourage you to human up. Thank you.